You've already closed, and this is year to date, six and change million, right?
Right.
Okay. So, I mean, and your goal is 15. And, so you're on track, right? I mean, like, for the most
Kind of,
part.
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like, you're not horribly off is what I'm trying to say. Like, I
Okay.
can see that you are definitely, like, there's a lot of people who come here and they're like, hey, like, my goal is 15 million. I've done 2 million so far. So, like, I just want you to understand, like, you are, you're doing a lot of things right. And I'm also, like, so I want to I like to give credit where credit's due. And at the same time, I also like to, kind of look at it saying there's a lot of things you're doing right, and there's just a few things we need to pivot because it's not about doing everything differently. It's about doing more of what's working and doing, adjusting and pivoting on things that aren't working, and then doing a couple extra things on top of that in addition, right? That can help you achieve your goals faster, easier, and more simple, less risk, less hassle. When it comes to education, so you said more education in regards to commercial real estate business. What specifics are you like looking for that you feel like you don't have?
I mean, it sounds like all of this is going to be like step by step. I'm going through familiarizing myself with a lot of the terms, in the terms and definitions, and then I'll go through everything else. But it seems like you guys are going to be pretty in depth with the financial side that I might be lacking and the underwriting knowledge that I might need. So I feel like coupled with the sales in prospecting training, it seems like this is going to be like full, just encompass everything that I'm looking for.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I understand. I'm just trying to get a better understanding of like today, if we can cover one or two things and start getting you results today, which is my goal. What one or two things can we work on right now that you feel like you need like the most support with? Because you're gonna obviously, of course, like there's a lot of amazing value in the program, which I know you're gonna get a lot of support with. I just want to make sure like
Well, I wrote a script for prospecting maturing debt.
so
So maybe we can run through that.
let's do it. Yeah, let's do it. So a couple things. What I like to also suggest, by the way, anything if we just took the next, let's say, 15, 20, 30 minutes or so, we just focused on, just specifically prospecting, would that be valuable?
Yeah, because I think I want to get to a point where I'm just jumping on the phone, super comfortable.
Cool.
I mean, I'm really comfortable on the phones. I've prospected my whole life. I mean, I worked for my dad at his exhibit house in Las Vegas early in my career, and he was big on get in front of as many people, call them on the phone, go see them at their office. So
I like it.
that's like ingrained. I'm not, oh, it's not my style to call. Oh, I
Yeah,
can't call
I love it.
people.
So then let's talk
Um,
about scripting then, specifically
yeah.
the languaging. What's the opening line right now that you have for your script?
So I have a couple because a lot of times I might be calling a company. So we'll start with like when I'm calling the decision maker direct. Hi, this is Melissa Skipworth with Berkshire Hathaway's commercial division. I hope I'm catching you at a good time. And then
Great
I'm
sales
calling because
calls.
our team monitors publicly recorded commercial loan data, and it appears the property at blank may have maturing notes scheduled between January 2026 and January 2027. Now, we understand these types of transitions often involve important financial planning, and my intention today is simply to open the door for a conversation to see how we might be a helpful resource.
Let's break down each piece of it. First and foremost, I would just say when you have a sales call, I would never, you don't have to go through the whole thing of Melissa with Berkshire Hathaway Commercial Division. You could just,
So kind of cut that.
for me, I'm saying, hi, this is Henry EXP Commercial. I'm saying two words.
Okay.
So you could say Berkshire Hathaway. You don't have to say commercial division. You could literally, BH commercial. It doesn't matter. Okay, the company is almost irrelevant, but the more you say, like if your company has 17 words in it, it's gonna.
Oh God. Well, don't tell my marketing department because like the brokers are like, you need to say every word when you call. And it's like
Nonsense.
nobody does.
No,
Nobody
it's
does.
nonsense. It's completely false.
I know, but they'll tell you that. And I'm just like, I'm still gonna do it the way that I'm like, okay, sure.
Hey, hey, John, this is Melissa with BH Commercial, Berkshire Hathaway. Either one is fine. Because it really doesn't matter what the company is. How are you today? Doing great. How are you? Fantastic. Thank you. Now, your next line is like a paragraph. Okay. My next line is just, I was calling you about your property at 123 Main Street. My client and I, or my partner and I, or my client is going through a 1031 exchange, and I was just curious, and they were looking to move some money for tax purposes, and I was curious if we'd be totally against the idea of selling the property at 123 Main Street. I know they have a maturing loan. You and I can both know that. We don't have to tell them that. They know that as well. So repeating back to them saying, hey, you have a maturing loan is unnecessary to say. And then also keep in mind, I'm a direct, like I'm from New Jersey. I curse a lot. I am direct. Like you get who you get with me, right? I'm not a fan of the roundabout, try to be your friend, confidant, advisor, versus the idea of like, you just want to know if they're selling. Like that's the whole purpose of us being on this phone call. When you say like, listen, you go through that script and you go through this whole 9 yards and you say like your loan's coming due between this time and this time. I want this to be a benchmark in our relationship and all that kind of stuff. If you called me or if I called you and I said all this type of stuff, how would you feel?
I don't know how I'd feel. That's why it's kind of just early on before I just start jumping on the phones. I really want to fine tune the questions I'm going to ask, how I'm going to ask them.
Yeah. So I would do this. Ignore the idea of them having a maturing loan. It does not matter they have a maturing loan. That's a motivation point that It's like hypothetically if you knew that they were divorced, like are going through a divorce, or you knew that the property had a major fire, or you knew that they were having, like the husband or wife just passed away. You wouldn't just repeat it back to them. Hey, I just know your husband died. It's just a fact that we know. They know as well. Like they're not blind to the idea that their spouse passed away. It is just a motivation point that both like that they're aware of and that you can be aware of, but that's why you're calling them. So that's enough of a reasoning. You don't have to bring it up. You know what I'm saying? Like when we call, because we do a lot of motivation lists. Like we call, properties that are on the maturing loans list. We call properties that are out-of-state owners. I don't have to tell them, like, I know you're out-of-state owner. We call properties that have that are on the obituary list, okay, where somebody has passed away. We call properties that are in trusts. We don't have to repeat it. So the questions of saying, like, oh, is it in a trust? Or tell me more about when your loan's expiring, right? And what your plans are. You don't have to say those things. So the real questions and the things that you actually need to know are what?
Motivation to sell.
Okay, but I'm saying, let's take a step back though. You already know their motivation to sell for the most part. That's why you're calling. So what else do you need to know?
I'm not sure.
I would imagine property information.
Property information, okay.
Right, so like more about their property. Like tell them, like we want to learn more about their property and we want to know more about like, you're calling, what asset class do you mainly call?
I haven't really done a lot of commercial prospecting. I've just gotten leads through my sphere. Okay. So I've really only prospected residential.
That's okay. I'm saying, what kind of properties have you sold? Retail, right?
I have sold an industrial. I brought a industrial listing to the team. I did a lease on a industrial flex space, and then
are you prospecting industrial? Like, is that the plan?
Right, just because that's my.
That's perfect. Okay, well, I'm saying
that's my niche because of my background. Yeah,
that's fine. Perfect. Let's take industrial as an example. You're calling up a warehouse. They're probably either going to like think about it. We're you and I are partners. Okay, we just pulled a list of all the non-conforming loan data, and we know for a fact that they have a loan coming due. Now, what if you were the property owner? You and I now pretend like you and I are the property owner. We're partners. We own a building, and we have a loan coming due. What are our options?
Sell or refinance and move the money around.
Perfect. Okay, great. So sell is an option, but it's not our only option. Okay, we can refinance. We might be in a wonderful position, you and I. You and I could have bought it, 20 years ago or 10 years ago at an amazing price. We could have stole these buildings, okay? And then we have a loan coming due because they're, on a 10-year term. So, and we could owe $1 million on a $10 million asset. We're not in any stress position. We could care less. Just keep in mind when you're calling these people, it doesn't always mean that they have to sell. There are instances where people will, and there will be instances where people won't. But now, again, we're back to prospecting. You and I are partners. We're pulling this list, and we're going to be calling up a bunch of these property owners, okay? But now that we are aware that they might, not all, but they may have the motivation to sell. And they haven't, we know this list is an industrial property list. We know for a fact that we probably have an idea that there's somewhere between, based on the list that you can export on Reonomy or CoStar, they're between 10,000 and 50,000 feet as an example in XYZ town. That we're probably going to know as an example. So when you call them up, you need to know, and you go through your question like, hey, my name is Melissa. I'm with Berkshire Hathaway. How are you today? Good. How are you? Doing amazing. Just giving you a call today because I have a client of mine who's going through, looking to acquire another property in the area, and I wanted to give you a call about your property 123 Main Street, and I was just curious if you'd be totally against the idea of selling it. Okay, which by the way, if you're looking for my script book. I think, it's not only in the program,
I
which
think you guys sent it.
I think we sent it to you, but I could give it to you right here as well in the Zoom call. I'm just sending it right now. It's in the Zoom chat. There you go. So it's in the Zoom chat, so you can download it. But basically, it has the exact same opening line there. So you can take this opening line, and you talk to them, and you have this conversation. And you say, at the very end of the opening line, it's just, would you be totally against the idea of selling the property at 123 Main Street? And they say, I'm open to the idea, or they're not open to it. Not interested, or I'm open to the idea. Now that they say that let's just say they're open to selling, Melissa. What do you think you should say next? They say, I appreciate, Melissa, I am open. Thank you for the call. I am open to the idea. So,
You'd like throw out a number or ask them what they would sell it for, would want to sell it for?
first and foremost, I would never then jump into a number.
Never throw out a number?
Not yet. I mean, eventually, sure, but not off the bat.
But they are interested.
We don't know
in
anything
selling.
about the property. We have no
Tell
idea.
me more about the property. Okay,
yeah. I mean, like, look, I definitely the next line is not tell me more about the property, but the goal is now we take the rest of the phone call, because what is the objective of the very first phone call? What is the objective? It's two things.
Identify motivation and
also, again, I want to change the dynamic real quick because it's unlike residential. In commercial, the dynamic of motivation, you typically will have motivation per se. No, we will know that based on the list we're pulling. The idea is more so, are they open to the idea of selling? Objective one. Okay, I don't need to have so much of a motivation, right? That is a bonus if you have the motivation also known. Okay, but are they open to the idea of selling? One. Number two, what is the second objective on the phone call? On the very first phone call.
Hold on, let me go to your script book really fast.
Go for it. Go ahead. No, it's okay. That's what we're here for. It's okay.
Maybe ask them if they're interested in acquiring any other properties.
Okay, so hold on. Let's talk about where we're in the conversation. We just asked, would you be totally against the idea of selling it? They just said, I am open to the idea of selling it. So I would not immediately pivot the script yet. Pivoting the script is only when they say, I am not interested in selling my property.
Okay.
So when they say, I am open to the idea of selling, what do we want to do now? The next objective is to spend the remaining part of your call to do basically one of two things.
Well, to find out more about the property and the time frame.
Okay, great. Well, okay, that's one main thing. Okay, I would combine those two things together. Yes. So you're trying to figure out more information about the property. Now you need to ask questions that will give you enough data and information so that you can come to a conclusion of value.
Are there any other decision makers?
That could be later down in the conversation.
Okay, later.
I just want you to think about it like this, and it's in the script book, but all you're going to do is you're going to ask questions about the property. And what I do is that I have my dialer loaded up on one screen so I can prospect. And then when someone answers the phone, I immediately take that address and I throw it into Reonomy at the same exact time because I have that on another screen. And I put in the Reonomy search bar, I put the address and I hit enter and I look at the property. So while I'm on the phone with them in real time, I can look at the property. So I can be like, look, they say I'm open to the idea of selling. Okay, great. Just to clarify, based on the information I've been able to, research and find on my own, the property is around 20,000 square feet, right? The property, and I try to go into square footage next, or based on what I can look up quickly, I'd be like, okay, just to clarify, this is it looks like it's small bay industrial, correct? This looks like a single tenant building. Are you owner occupying the building, or is this just an investment property? I want to start asking them as many questions as I can to get as much of an understanding of the building and of the current situation.
Okay.
In the script book, you'll see many questions to ask. Okay, when you scroll down to the industrial page, which I think is like page 5 or something, maybe it's 7.
I think that's what I'm on right now. So how many tenants are there currently? Are they on a triple net lease, or is it?
Yeah, and look, I'm not saying you do not just go one by one and just
right.
Close your eyes.
You go with the flow of the call, but
Correct.
Memorize these.
Correct. These are the handful of questions that have in your tool belt, so you can whip them out when you need it. So depending on how the call's going, these are the conversations you kind of pivot and adjust.
Right.
While you're in the call, because all we're doing is bobbing and weaving. We're in a boxing match, and we're bobbing and weaving with the person, right? Because we don't know what how they're gonna respond. They might all of a sudden turn on you and start being incredibly rude, or they could be the nicest, kindest individual who gives you every single answer to every question you could possibly ask them. And you need to be able.
A lot of times you have to earn that. You might get lucky on a call.
Yeah, but I'm saying every call is different. So it's like we can't just assume they're going to respond in some way. So it's being on your toes in that boxing match of the phone call and knowing that they can throw anything at you. And you can't just respond the same way to every single question. I like to, they say, well, yeah, I say, so based on what I was able to look up online, it looks like it's around 20,000 square feet. Is that accurate? They say, No, it's 45,000 square feet. Where are you getting your data from? You're like, okay, that could be a little bit off-putting. So you have to be able to dance a little bit, right?
Right.
In the boxing match. And you get like, it's totally okay to be wrong. Oh, and like, it's so interesting. It actually shows up on the records here online that it says 20,000 feet. I apologize. You said it's 45,000 feet. Okay, just to clarify, is this an investment property or is this a property you occupy? It's a property I occupy. Okay, understood. So you occupy 100% of the building, or do you do you happen to have any tenants whatsoever? No, we occupy 100% of the building. Okay, so just so I understand correctly, you're open to the idea of selling. Would you be selling the business along with the real estate, or did you just plan on retiring? I plan on retiring. The conversation is going to kind of be flowy, and you can't be obsessed with the next question on the list.
Right.
It's how you are going through with the conversation.
You just need to know what to ask.
Correct. It's just you need to know that next step if and when it arises. Keep in mind, like everyone thinks sales is a linear line like this, because this is your sales script. Okay, you have question, 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 and then a close at the very bottom, because that's all that sales is. Just asking
all
questions.
The questions in the row.
That's all sales is asking questions in an order that get to a result. Okay, that's all that sales is. Okay. However, this is what everybody thinks it is. We're just going to ask all these questions, ask the closing question, and then you get a sale. That's not how it works, because you ask a question and then they take you over here and they say some random thing you weren't prepared for that isn't on your script. And then the point is handling X objection and responding in an appropriate fashion, bringing us back to script. Going through the script, and they take you off script. Answering or handling objection, responding appropriately, bring them back to the script. Go, 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 go. And that keeps repeating until you get to the end. I want you to think about it from the lens of saying, like, okay, I just need to practice through making your calls. Okay, it's okay, like just like riding a bike for the very first time. You're gonna fall and you're gonna scrape your knee, but it doesn't mean you didn't ride a bike. You're gonna continue to keep going until it's like you joke around with the baby, right? Like where it's like you're not gonna how many times are you gonna tell it, like how many times should a baby try to walk before you tell a baby that they actually aren't meant to walk?
Quite a few times, I would imagine.
You would just well, the answer is nothing.
Never tell
a baby that they're not meant to walk. You're going to keep trying until you walk, right?
Right.
So,
right.
Like the same thing with cold calls. Like it's not like you're not meant to make cold calls, right? In prospect, you just have to make enough so that you can practice and have the ability to then know, like, okay, when they say this, I should say this given the context. So it's okay to not have it all figured out. Just like a baby doesn't understand how to walk day 1 or day 30 or day 100 sometimes. Right? They just they're going to continue trying until they get it. So in the prospecting world, it's more about just doing the thing versus the result for the first 100 days. Right? So my goal for you is to say for the first 100 days, all I want you to do is use the script that you have in front of you. And I want you to just do your best to gather as much information on as many properties as you possibly can. And then at the end of the very end of the call, you can end the call in 2 different fashions. Okay? If you're trying to set an appointment, what's something that you can say?
I hate it when my analytical brain, it's like, I don't know what to say yet, but I will.
No, but here's the thing. What I want you to know is, like, when I'm having this conversation, what I want you to be more open to the idea of is being flowy.
Yeah.
Because there is not a wrong answer. There is a better or worse decision, right? There's not right or wrong. I mean, I wouldn't tell the guy to go screw off. Okay, that would be a wrong decision. But there is a better and worse way to try to close for an appointment. Because, like, right. What's the worst thing you can say to ask for an appointment? Like, if you just don't even worry about the script book, literally just say, like, you and I are just chatting on the phone. I'm a seller, you're the agent, and you're trying to set an appointment with me. What's the silliest thing you could say to me that you could say right now to try to set an appointment? Don't worry about being right. I just want you to just go immediately in your mind. If you're trying to set an appointment with me, what's something you could say?
If we could help you net what you want to net, would you be interested in selling today or this soon?
Okay, great. What else could you say? I like it. 1, next. All you're trying to do is set an appointment with me. You're trying to meet me face to face.
If I could help you liquidate this property, how soon would you like to make that happen?
As soon as possible. But I'm trying to teach you how to think on the fly for a moment. It's okay. Keep going.
Right. I'm good at thinking on the fly, but it's like, again, practice. The more I practice,
I just want you to get comfortable knowing that, like, what else could you say? You used to do sales. What was your closing statement?
The sales that I did before was really geared towards design and service. So a lot of times we were just presenting.
But at the end of the presentation, you say something. Because if you're at a listing appointment, right? Like, let's say you're at a listing appointment right now. You want me to list my house. What would you say? What's your closing statement?
By that point, I'm just going through the contract and we're going through it and you're signing. I mean, I really just present the information and try to let it flow, ask
But
questions,
I'm saying,
find out what's in their
because I'm trying
head.
to get you to, here's like, right? I don't need explanation. I want you to try to just tell
Right.
me a
But
close.
what would I say? I mean, I don't know, I'm having a hard time with
It's
this.
okay. So imagine if you've prospected for residential sales, right?
Right.
Okay, so what's a closing statement? You're trying to set an appointment with me. What would you say? I want to sell. I want to sell right now. All you have to do is set an appointment to come list my house. What would you say?
When is the best time for us to meet? Tuesday at 4 or Friday at 10?
Amazing! Fuck yes! Amazing! Yes, this is exactly what I'm looking for, right?
Okay, okay.
That's exactly what I'm
I think
talking
that's
about.
what I meant. All
Yeah, that's
right.
a close. Okay, congrats! Amazing. Yes, that is. But I'm saying, I just want you to say it again to me.
When is the best time for us to meet? Tuesday at 4 or Friday at 10?
Amazing, right? That is an amazing close. Okay, what works better for you, an afternoon or evening appointment? Hey, Melissa, I'm actually going to be in the area later this week. What works better for you, an afternoon or evening appointment? Very simple,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, keep it simple.
Very simple, right? Great close, absolutely, right? That's a wonderful option. Okay, so you can set an appointment just like that. You did an amazing job. Okay, I'm with you.
I'm going to
Second
be
thing
in
you
the
can say.
area. I use that too. I'm going to be in the area.
Yeah, exactly. Easy way to kind of segue. Funny enough, I'm actually going to be in the area later this week. What works better for you, an afternoon or evening? Okay, because I don't do any morning appointments. That's one option. Second option is that you can go into making an offer, right? So just to be clear, what price would you be open to the idea of agreeing to today if I was able to get you a contract? Is there a price in which if I got you a contract today, you would accept it, right? Another close. Because then they say a price and you can be like, okay, great. Next thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to put this in front of I'm going to put this in front of my client and I'm going to see if I can get you the best offer I possibly can. See if I can get you to walk away with your, to try to get you the price you're looking for, right? That's it. My goal for you is that the next 100 days look like the following. You make as many calls as you possibly can. I would urge you to try to generate at least 2 seller opportunities, people who are open to the idea of selling, and you gathered as much information as possible from those individuals. Enough information to at least come to a conclusion on value. Last thing is that's the next 100 days. What I want you to do is I want you to track, all I care about you tracking is how many times you say a closing statement. That's all I care about you telling me.
Keep the pennies out and we move them up every time we close. Try to close 8 times, or what? Do you have like a number how many times you try
Yeah,
to
so
close?
well, I'm saying I just want you to try to do this for a week and then try to tell me how many you have. My goal is obviously that you don't even count a conversation eventually one day in a year from now or 2 years from now where you don't even count the conversation anymore unless you ask a closing question. It's like, okay, because imagine this, because like a lot of people make calls. A lot of people make calls. Okay, a lot of people have conversations. Fewer of them generate any leads, and then even fewer of them have a conversation or have a call, have the conversation, generate a lead, someone who's open to the idea of selling, get enough information on that phone call to even decipher the value of the asset, and then even fewer of them do all those things and then ask a closing question. The goal is, can you do all 5 of those things on as many calls as you possibly can every day? Because that's a winning phone call. Because the goal is, I think about it like this. How many times could you ask for an appointment before you think you're going to get one, at least almost for sure every time?
But you got to ask, sometimes you got to ask like 5 to 8 times.
Sure, yeah. 4, 5, 10, 2, 20, who knows, right?
5, 1,000.
Yeah, it depends on the day. But my point is that if you did that 10 times a day, my guess, okay, my assumption is that you would get more appointments than you probably have right now. And that's the goal. That's all I
Okay.
want you to think about for the next 100 days.
Now,